For this video, I'm going to walk you through how to create a simple modular modal component setup that you can use to create any other modal in your React application. It can handle things like click outside and even force focus inside your modal when users try to use it. Like, comment to support this channel, subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Now, let's dive in. So to create an application, I'm going to use npx create react app. And I'm going to call it modal component, and I'm going to use template of TypeScript and install that. All right, so now we have our project, and I'm going to do here is cd into it. And one thing I'm going to do is npm sass, because I'm going to use SCSS to do everything. So in that, I'm going to do WebStorm to open my project here. Our project opened. And we can do a couple things here. So not that this matter, but we see here is just pretty much ordinary default React application. We're gonna come back and delete a lot of stuff here, but for now I'm just gonna go ahead and create a modal directory. And I like to add an index file always. And this is because I treat every component as its own package, and I use the index to expose any parts. So the first thing we're going to do is create the core, which is going to be the modal.tsx. Here I'm going to start ahead and create a modal and expose the component right away. So I want you to think about modal as different pieces. So you have the content, the header, the footer, and then you have the wrapper around everything else, which makes up the modal. So we're going to create those different parts. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to call it modal header. And I'm going to duplicate here. I'm going to call it modal footer. And we're going to do again for the content. So those are the modular parts. So this is the core, and then we have modal content, modal footer, and modal header. So great, we have all the parts. So let me start with the core part. And what we normally want here, so we know we're gonna have a children, so we're gonna render everything inside, and we're gonna start just with that. So I'm gonna create here, say, the modal props. And he's gonna be children for now, which is just gonna be React node. For now. So here, this is our modal props. And in here, a couple things. The first, we need the wrapper, which is fills the entire view. So we're gonna return that. And I'm gonna use a simple div called modal like this. So this is our wrapper. This will fill the entire view. And in HTML, we have something called dialog tag. And this is gonna be the center, the component actually. And for this, I wanna add a class of modal as well. So this is actually a modal, and what we render inside a modal goes in here. And it's pretty much very simple. We can go ahead and try to visualize this. But in here, when first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna export from all of these files. So here we're gonna come back. I'm actually gonna delete this apps.css. We are app test, and here we're gonna remove this. We don't need none of this, and none of this as well. And we're gonna import our modal, and here we're gonna just import that, and we're gonna render right away. And we're gonna say this is the modal content. And let's go ahead and run this application. And voila, he brings up the browser. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. And we got nothing. Pretty cool. And why is that? Why do we not get anything? So let's look and of what we actually got. So we have modal container, modal here, and there's one thing about the modal. Let's try to say modal is open, and there you go. The dialog itself needs to be said that it needs to be open, and there you go. We have our modal here, which looks very basic. So let's pimp it up. I'm gonna hide this terminal, and we can also accept visible, which is gonna be a boolean, and we can read this to actually control the whether it's open or not. So let's make it look much better. So I'm gonna come here and create modal.scss, and I'm gonna import this before I forgot. And we see we have modal container. I'm gonna start with that, and then we have modal. We're gonna start with that. So here, I'm gonna go straight ahead and make this position fixed. Z-index all the way to 100. It can be more, but I'm gonna start at. I'm gonna make left 0, top 0. And we wanna make sure that the width is always 100 full view width, and the height is always full view height. And from there, we can give it a background. We can do RGBA. I'm gonna do a black, and then I'm gonna do it from 0.6 for opacity. So, and this should do. And for the modal here, one thing I want to do is make it display flex, flex direction column, so everything is stacked. So we have header, content, and footer, and we're gonna give it a background of white. I'm gonna round it up the corner here with some I don't know, 5 pixels, and we're gonna do some box shadow. It sometimes matters. I'm gonna do here 5 pixels. I'm gonna do, for example, a gray. So let's move to let's do 5.5 for now, and width. So the width by default, I'm gonna make it 450 pixels, and then we can have something like, to say large, when it has large, to be like maybe 650 pixels, and then when it says small, for example, you're gonna have 300 pixels. 450, 350, up 650, and maybe 650 is too much. We can do 520. 550 is fine. So this dimensions are up to you, but as you saw, and you can say you can see that it's already complaining about this. So we're gonna make this by default true, and then we can see in the browser, you can see here it got to 450, but you can see these borders. We can see our subtle shadow, and the background is white, so you can see here, but you can see we can position it better. I want us to position more towards the top, but I don't want that we don't want these borders. So we come back here, we can say border none. There's a way we can just remove all the styling from the modal all at once, but I'm gonna do something like this, and then I'm gonna do margin top to be, for example, 25 view height. So 25% of the view height. So here, so that means if I move my browser here, it will always be something like this. And then we can make it for the width, max width. This is gonna override this. So let's say we have 450, but then the browser becomes smaller, and we can say max width is 80% of the view width. So we can, so let's say something gets much smaller, we can see it always makes sure that it's 80% of the view. This makes sure that it doesn't fill all the way, and we can do the same thing for the height as well. And for the height, max height, we can say is always. So we're not gonna control the height, and we're gonna let it always take so much space as it wants. Maybe we want control of that, but I want to say that in case we have too many content, we want to make sure that the modal doesn't go beyond 80% of the view height, so it doesn't fill up or becomes unreadable. So this decision is up to you, but I like to make them here, and I'm like to remove the padding as well. So I'm before I remove, so let me show you here. So if you inspect this baby, I believe there is some padding. So you can see by default there is some padding. I want to remove that right away. So there's a way to do like this. You can just remove all the styling, and we can look back and see it goes back to there. But I don't want to remove that because see there it position itself nicely. That's already there, but maybe you want to have full control. You can just do something like that. If in case you want to remove everything, you can just come back here and say display flex, justify content center, and then we can say it is there like there. So we make it center, and then we can because so maybe this should be up top here. So this will fix everything, and I don't want that, so that's up to you. I'm just gonna remove this, but it's up to you if you want to remove everything. I just want to take advantage of some styling from the browser and for it to be there, because we're gonna do more stuff. We can animate this in and out, but let's first handle the large and small thing here. So we can say size can be small, large, medium, and by default we're gonna make it this required. So by default is medium, and size here, so we're just gonna do modal. We're gonna make size. I like to be able to set up other things, so other props. For example, maybe I want to do a data test ID on this, and I don't want to limit what you can set or not set. I just want to make this pretty generic. Other props, and I can just spread it. So where I spread it here is very important. I don't want people to set a new class for it or override the open in modal open attribute for those we have specific things. But if you want to get that grab, you can set an ID, for example, or you can set a data test ID if you want for your modal, and it works just fine. So so far pretty good. But one thing we can try is make it come up. So we can add a button here, show modal. We just have trigger here, so we have a way to test this thing. We can do some. So I'm gonna use some. By the way, this is probably the way you set up modals. And what this does is pretty much set modal to true. And we're gonna make this on click. I'm gonna go back to the browser. As I overwrite this thing. So you see here modal visible true. Says false, but it seems like it doesn't matter. So which means we can remove this. This all comes down to the styling. So you see it's always visible. So what we can do here, you can say modal visible. And so this is another way you can optionally load it here on the thing and not always. So we can definitely remove the visible idea. So that comes back to the styling. I normally like to do it like this, but that's up to you. So now we can click here, we can see it shows up. We can make this not a thing, but yeah, modal always there. See, we don't even need to open now. Good. So we conditionally rendering this modal now. Cool. So can we add some animation here? So we can do some keyframes. I'm gonna do a keyframe for fade BG. Oops. Did I create this? Weird. So on a 0%, I'm gonna make background RGB A all 0. That's pretty much saying black. Make it complicated. I don't think we need commas. Correct. Thank you, editor. And then for background here, that's when we're gonna make it the 0.6. And then we can say animation, it's fade BG. Oh, fade BG. And we can make it 0.3 seconds. Make it ease. And I don't think we need to do that. So now if we go back, so we can do this. And it's 3 forwards. So it stays. So we can do this. So you can see it kind of fades in nicely. But we can do a better job with this centerpiece. What about, I'm going to create a keyframe to say slide up. And what this does is, oops, there, 0%. You can also do from and to. So the from here is opacity is going to be 0, and the transform. So we're going to push this thing by default down. So we're going to translate 0 horizontally, and we're going to push it down like maybe 35 pixels should be fine. And when we finish this, we're going to animate it back into original position. So right into position that it is right now. So if we go back here, we're going to refresh. Oh, I didn't use it yet. So what's the animation? It's called slide up. And this is called here, animation, slide up. We're going to make it for, we're going to make it take a little longer than that. We thought 3. Stay, we're going to make it forward. So it stay at the end position. And we're going to go back to browser, kind of say here. So you can see there, it's subtle, but it's not too sudden in your face when the modal comes up. It will make sense more when we add more content and the modal is more rich. But here we're going to kind of have the background fade nicely in, and then this modal just slide up nicely. There you go. It's perfect. There you go. Awesome. Let's handle the harder things first. So for the header here, what do you normally take for the header? Let me start with the props. I like to think about the data first. Export modal header interface here. Modal header props. And then here I like to have the title, string. Maybe I can make React node. So allow people to put anything in the header, and I can have description. So here I'm gonna say modular header props, and I'm gonna take this title, and I'm gonna take the description as well. So here I'm gonna return a simple header, actually the header tag, and I'm also gonna handle the other props nicely here. So I'm gonna say other props, and that's it. So I'm gonna just spread this, allow people to put anything, but I don't want anybody to set the class, so we can have modal header. And here we can do a couple things. So we can say if type of title equals string, something like that, we're just gonna use h3 header and then do a title. Otherwise, we're just gonna put the title because it could be a component. And here for the description, I'm gonna say if there is a description, just put it inside a p tag. P tag. Oops, I think I messed up here. Just like that, we have our header. We can actually, because we could also create a specific style for this. But let's first try it out. So I'm gonna compare modal header. I'm gonna say this is a modal. Some cool description for the model like that. So let's go back in the browser and click to show, and we see our model. So let's give it some style to match our style. So my imaginary design system here. So I'm gonna say modal header CSS, and I'm gonna import this before I forget. And let's see, modal header. I'm gonna make it display flex, and I'm gonna also make it flex column, a column as well. So the title and the description is right on the top, right on a stack on top of each other. I'm gonna make some padding here, so I'm gonna put 20 pixels on the top, 20 pixels right and left, and maybe do 10 pixels on the bottom here. And I'm also gonna do a border bottom. Why not? Just because we don't have a way to separate. Maybe separate the content and the header, but that's up to you. So I'm gonna do one pick solid. I'm gonna do a light gray, so I'm gonna triple E here. So we do have title, so I'm gonna give it a class. I'm gonna say modal title. Here I'm gonna say modal title here, and what I'm gonna do is probably control this margin. Can you see the margin? And I'm gonna remove everything. I'm gonna put 5 pixels. So we want to make sure the title and it's close. By default, H3 has its own styling there. And for the P tag, which I'm gonna call the description, modal description. I think there is a way in SCSS you can just say like this, since it's modal. And here I'm gonna remove all the margins for the paragraph. It normally comes with margin. I'm gonna make it font size less than the root size is. I'm gonna make it give it a gray color, so I'm gonna make it, I don't know, 6, something like that. And one thing I can do is make sure the first letter is always the first letter is always up. I think for the letter we need to here. I don't think it matter much, so you can see here. Let's oops. So one thing I can do is make sure that everything inside here, box size, border box, and I'm gonna give you the outline 1 pixel solid. So I'm gonna say everything has a nice, I'm gonna give a specified outline for this. Oh, nice purples here. So I'm gonna use this purple here. Make sure everything inside the modal has a specific mode. Maybe this is for the, you know what, I'm gonna move this for the, because it's pretty gold blue. So I'm just gonna move this and have this style here. Beautiful. So that should fit everything. So this is, oh, I messed up here. It's everything whenever it's focused, give it a style, not always. So you can see here, let's see, oh, this nice. So let's see this header much closer. So we have the header here. We have the B. B has margins, so I definitely don't want, I don't know why it's not picking up that margin. Maybe I was wrong about this. I think it worked. Okay, now it applied. So you can see the header is pretty nice. We can see some things on the bottom here, but you can see it's pretty simple. Like, let's say if we don't have the header, the description now, how that would look like. Oh, I think I made the description required, so we can make that. So you can see it still looks pretty nice for me. Pretty good. So that's up to you. So the header is pretty much it. Let's do the footer. I think the footer would be the simplest of them all. So just for consistency here, we're gonna do interface. Can't think about anything. So I'm gonna use a footer as well, and then here I'm just gonna do children, and I'm gonna do class name, Modal Footer, and so for the footer, I'm gonna create Modal Footer. I think it should be so. One Modal Footer, oh, SCSS, not TXX, SCS. So for the footer, what I want to make sure is that everything stays on the right. Maybe you want to use direction, make sure everything aligns for left or center, up to you. But for here, I want to make sure everything is aligned on the right. So it's pretty much display flex, padding. I'm gonna do some padding, maybe the same thing I did for header for consistency. Justify content, flex end to make things for the right, and we're gonna do some border top. I don't remember what the header is, but I think footer could use that as well. Same thing, but for the top. And oh, gap. I want to make sure like the gap, there's some nice gap between any content. So this was force everything to stay horizontally, and we can see align items center. I'm not seeing anything, but Let's make that everything aligned center vertically, and that's footer. And we can come back here. We can say Modal Footer, and we can add 2 buttons. I'm gonna say, for example, button cancel. Okay. And that's it. And so there you go. Good. So what we can do, let's make buttons look nice. So all unset, padding 20 pixels, and make just a quick style for buttons. I'm making by default the background a dark thing, color white, text transform uppercase, ladder spacing, let me do 0.05, RAM. What else can I do? Capitalize actually. That transform capitalize. Yeah. And what I can do is say outline. If it has outline class, we can make this background none. We can do color actually black, border 1, pixel solid. Good. So now we come back here, we can say this as class name outline. So now we can have the oops, we can do a couple more things here. Thing 8 pixels, that became too much. Border radius 3 pixels. Good. And of course cursor pointer. So like that, we have our buttons here, which looks pretty nice. So the footer is everything all right. So we see the 20 pixels here in between the buttons. So they apply pretty fine. So maybe we can make this again. I'm just doing this on the eye. I'm just not following any design system, but just in case here. So I see that a button is not pretty much border transparent. So it just matches the height because that one need to have the border. Yeah. So now it's pretty good. We can actually click on these things to make close. So we can, for example, show modal. We can say hide modal. The reason that I don't like to deal with states and random model like this, because you end up creating a lot of these things where you have to create these functions to update the state. Then if you have multiple models, now you have to create multiple of these. There is a better way. I'll share with you on a different video. So we can see here now, if I show model cancel, cancel is not working. Oh, because I said true, I can just say false here. So if I click show model and cancel, beautiful. Nice. So content, let's do content. Content should be pretty easy as well. So I hope. Do I have any ideas for this? I think no, it should be pretty simple as well. I want to make sure that it's generic enough that you can put anything inside and it just works. And for this, I'm going to call it modal. Modal content. And we're just going to put children here. So what the style will look like for this, I would think maybe some padding. Oh, I know. We need some overflow control here. So we want to make sure, like for example, if the model, quick here. So let's say the model have too many content, too many things inside, and it reached the vertical max vertical real estate that we want for the screen. So what we want to do is, instead of the content appears squish or bleeds out of the model, we can make the content component have overflow, so it becomes scrollable, and you can deal with it much nicer. So I'm gonna say padding. Maybe we can do padding 20 pixels because we're doing padding a lot of things. Now we're gonna say overflow auto. So whenever there's no more space, just scroll, my man. So here we can just say import modal content. Beautiful. Awesome. So let's use this guy here in application. And I can just put some modal content here. I'm going to do some Lauren 25. Maybe I can just put that inside a p tag. 25. That's it. Modal content, and you can see there, show modal, and there you go. See there's some margin for the thing, and then the modal looks pretty nice. I'm gonna do a field picture here, description, some Lauren 10. Oops, something is not right. Oh, because I'm treating the Lauren as value, and it should be as a string. So there you go. Pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah. So far, I think we pretty much handle every visual stuff. So let's handle some behavior. So one thing for the model, one thing I want to handle is the click outside. Maybe what I can do is have a handle say on outside click. Is gonna be a function, and mom don't care what you do, so just it's gonna be a function. And by default here on outside click, I know we like to make sure everything that has defaults will stay on the right. So here, how do we handle on outside click? So one thing we can do, we can actually listen to on click on the overall thing, and we can create a function called handle click outside. Doesn't sound, no, handle outside click, proper English, whatever. And what this does, probably take an event, since we're gonna listen to one. And I think in React is synthetic event, and for this we're gonna, because it's gonna be a div, so HTML div element. Yes, we're gonna find out soon enough. React probably gonna scream. So okay, we got a match. So so here I'm gonna say if this type of, because it's the default type of, is a equal function, and so here we're gonna determine if the click happened outside, and I can say, and then just check. So because the click bubbles, so when I click here, the click gonna bubble and I'm gonna get here. But the click, where the click happened is in the dialog or inside anything that in dialog. So if it happens in the dialog or anything inside dialog, we know some click happened inside the modal. But if the click happens to happen here, then we know the target matches this thing. So we're just gonna say event target and class name. So So it's complaining about something here. Doesn't have event targets, so I think it's because this element here, beautiful. So I'm just gonna put this each on a line so it reads better. And why do I need extra parentheses here? Let's see where they come from. Event, or I need the parentheses here. So I'm saying if you click, if there is an outside click handler that we are listening to, and the click happen on the container and not on the dialog or anything inside, we can just call it. On outside click. So just like that. So let's try it out. Let me sure this is optional. Yeah, so here we're gonna say on outside click, close modal. No, hide. Did I call it hide modal? So you can see here. So let's bring this up, see if this works. So click here. If I click anything inside, nothing happens. But as soon as I click here, wow, it's gone. So we know it closes. So this gives us full freedom to make sure the click. So if I don't provide this, so let me see. So let's go back to the browser, refresh. So if I click here, everything right, it's the whole thing. So if I click on this side now, nothing happens. So it only happens when you have a handler and that handles. So that's how our boolean to say that this modal cares about the thing. So we can actually say, I haven't tried the size. Large. I want to see the large size. So okay, good. So we just do small. So small, pretty small. It's too small. Let me see. Small. 450. 400 is fine. Large is probably 600. And the default one is 500. So modal, yeah, small is pretty nice now. And we can see large. And we can see large is pretty nice. Good. And at the moment, I can just remove the header. The modal's still fine. So sometimes you just need a modal like this. Sometimes you just need to show some thing here. And it's pretty good. And I'm gonna sure that this has outside click, and then we're good. So one thing we can try. So one last thing before I let you go, I'm gonna add an input. I'm gonna do it like that, so we can see that this is input. One thing I can do is say autofocus. Someone doesn't know how to spell this. Autofocus. So make sure that this, whenever this comes up, it autofocus here. So we can refresh this and then we can click and then you go. You see it's already out of focus. But if I click the tab, I'm clicking the tab key here so we can navigate to cancel. Okay, but you can see we navigate the. So maybe let's see here. This has a focus, and you can trap. So now we see. I don't know if you can see here, but you can see when I zoom in, you can see it's purple. So the focus moved behind the model. We don't want that. We want the focus to stay here. Maybe the user wants to go here or whatever, but that's up to the user. But we want to whatever focus we do to happen inside the model. So how are we gonna trap that? So this is a good enough trap. So I'm gonna create. First, I'm gonna use effect. This is the perfect use for use effect. And like that, and it's just mimic on load. And in here we're gonna add event listener. No, document, add event listener, and we're gonna listen to focus in. So we're gonna listen to any focus that happened inside the document, and I'm gonna call something called handle focus. We didn't create it yet. I'm gonna create it soon, and then we're gonna make sure that we clean up afterwards. So remove event listener. So now I can create this handle focus here. const handle focus, and it's just a function. I don't care what it takes because it won't matter. And we need a reference of our model, but when I say the model, I mean the dialog tag. So I'm gonna use const say model ref is gonna use equals to use ref, and by default it's gonna be null, but the reference here is for the HTML dialog. I believe there's one. Oh, there is one. So model ref, and here I'm gonna put a ref like you should. And here there's a way to know. So first thing I'm gonna make sure that modal ref current, there is one ref, and there is one property in the document that always contain the element that has focus. So, and that thing is called document active element. So that's what we're gonna care. So if we know that the document active element is not the modal, if it's not the modal f, the modal the modal itself, or if it's not inside the modal ref, we know the modal shift, the focus shift. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna modal current, I'm gonna focus this on it. We're gonna focus on the modal, and to make it modal focusable, if that's a word, we can say tab index 1. I think in 1 is good. So we can try this out. What do I need to do? So here, if I can see here, say still focus here. If I move, I can move there, but I can never go back. You can see here now the purple is in the modal itself. So the modal has focus, but the focus never moved back behind. So from there, I can just move my focus to around like this. And you can see it goes to URL. It never goes behind the modal. You see I'm moving to URL, but then it is back to the buttons. In here, I give you a quick example how you put together a modal. So now what we call this modal, I'm gonna call it, so now we have the modal. Actually, I'm gonna make this a core. I'm gonna create components, and I'm gonna move modal, and I'm gonna create core, and I'm gonna move everything inside here, and it works. Saying something is not happy. Beautiful. And here I'm gonna create a, I'm gonna call it a demo modal. And my demo modal is now a composition of this. Now I just compose a modal, so I can compose whatever modal I want. So that will give me that, and we can pass it on here. On close, on cancel, on save. save as well. And that's our modal props. And we do on cancel here. So now we slowly having this. So we have our demo model, beautiful. And here I can just say on cancel. Hide model. Don't say we're also gonna hide model. We don't have anything there, so that's pretty much it. So you can use the same setup to compose any model you want for your application needs. And voila, this is it. So this is how you can create some model system that you can create any model from it. So let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Once again, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye bye.